our first Lunch Talk series, and we have the honor of having the Reverend Dr. Natasha Gadson with us today. And our Lunch Talk series is brought to you by Converge Online. This is an online community that focuses on growing in faith, building community, and joining together in service. So thank you for joining with us for our first talk.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited too. I have my lunch right here. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, that looks good.
Yes. A salad from Adriatic Grills, one of our local restaurants here, and they hooked me up. So I'm super excited.
Oh, that's awesome. I won't tell you where my lunch is. My lunch is still waiting to be prepared because Tuesdays are my meal prep days. So I'm a little behind on the prep.
It is all good. Again, thanks for having us. Before we jump into some questions and just hearing more about your story, we're going to have a random question session.
Okay, sounds good.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here's the first question. What right now is the most useless thing in your home that you have?
Oh, Lord, the most useless thing in my home, my office. My office, because since the pandemic, I had literally right now I am doing this from my living room. I have a whole office and I go in there. I go in there it's the dumping ground. I go in there once a week.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe do better. And
yes, I think I need to work on that.
Okay, so right now, what is the most important thing that you have in your home that you just have to use, you have to get you through each day?
Oh my goodness. I don't even have it in here, but my cup, my smoothie cup, that is, and I know it sounds silly because I can drink a smoothie out of any cup, but it is my cup. It is the cup that I know my husband will not touch. It's mine. And so if it's not clean, it's my fault. I'm not going to be angry when I'm hungry or I'm getting ready to work out and I need my protein smoothie. It's like gold right now. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Okay, so if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Oh man, if I had a superpower, it would be to spin around and be fully dressed in hair, makeup, outfit, all of it from head to toe in 30 seconds.
I like that. That's very necessary. Just getting dressed, just doing everything. It's just a deal. So I like that superpower.
Yeah. I need that in my life.
I think mine would be just getting me from point A to B without me having to drive. I do not like driving.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So yes, so that's second. Yes.
Okay. What is one TV show that you're embarrassed to say that you watch?
Oh my goodness. Married to Medicine.
Oh, same.
I just started because I literally cut out all TV years ago when I was writing my dissertation. And so I've let some TV back little by little, sitcoms and all of that. And somehow I got started on Married to Medicine. And I said, I need to be ashamed that this is the one,
yes.
this show is the one show I've let sneak up into my space. But yes, Married to Medicine.
I would say the same. And also Dynasty. It's a Netflix series. I don't know. I should not be hooked, but it's I am hooked for no reason. It's just, I'm why am I up watching this?
Right. And up late. Up late when you have to get up.
I have other things to do. I'm tired, but I'm okay, let me just make it through this episode so I can get some questions answered, and then I'll just get hooked. And plus Netflix, now it's only 3 or 4 seconds in between each episode.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have time to think I need to turn this off. It's on to the next one.
They're already starting the next one before you can say, I'm going to cut it off here. Yeah.
Well, thank you for playing our little game. Again, we are super excited to have you. So, you all, if you all do not know, I have come to know and love Dr. Gadson. Um, when I met you 2 semesters ago, she leads my spiritual formation class at Duke University in the doctoral program. And you have just been such a joy, and you've brought so much wisdom and light into my life, so much guidance. And so I'm just so thankful for you.
Well, thank you.
She is a preacher, a teacher, consultant, and strategist, native of New York.
Yes, that's right.
She is trained in both head and heart. She holds an undergrad degree in business administration from Morgan State and graduate degrees from both Howard University and Wesley Theological Seminary. Mm-hmm. And in May of 2016, which I hope to be like you soon, you earned a Doctor of Ministry degree from Duke Divinity School. You've been ordained and you serve as an elder in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I don't know why I'm saying you, like you know what you've done. So she has been ordained as an elder in the AME Church. And again, you have just focused on leadership development. And again, you've just been such an inspiration, I know, to me and so many of my classmates in our spiritual formation class. So I just do want to say thank you. And
thank you.
Yes. And so just to hear more about your story. So we're leading up into Mother's Day on Sunday. And I know that so many people will be celebrating their moms and grandmothers, aunties, and all of the women who have just helped them and inspired them along the way. But today I want to highlight all of the midwives, those people who are very present, the women who advocate, who are spiritually there for you, emotionally, and there to support. And the reason why I'm just so happy to have you on here is because your calling is that you say is to midwife people into their purpose. And so I want to hear more about that. What does that mean, and how did you come to knowing that that is your calling?
Well, what that really means is walking alongside, accompanying, supporting people as they come to understand, to discover, to realize their purpose in God, and helping them to step into that, right? Because we both know that you wrestle with that. You wrestle with coming into that understanding. And I arrived at that really when I came back to rededicate my life to Christ as an adult. Wow. So when I started going back to church as an adult at like age, 24, something like that, I was serving with the Rites of Passage program for young girls, and we were teaching them to discover their purpose. And then suddenly I was discovering mine. I was hearing and discerning a call to ministry, and there were women who were around me who helped push me into where I needed to be. And then I looked at my gifts and looked how I was functioning in my gifts over time, even once I accepted my call, even once I started the ministerial process and all of that. And I noticed that I was always in a position of being in conversation with other people about what their purpose was and what their next steps needed to be, and in doing that kind of encouraging and affirming. And no matter what my title has been over the last, I think it's 18 years now that I've been in ministry, no matter what the title has been, no matter what the function, the official function and job description has been, I have always functioned in that kind of way. Mm-hmm. And so I would say within the last 5 to 7 years, I really started putting language around that, really birthed out of that Luke 1, those infant narratives you're familiar with, when Mary and Elizabeth encounter each other, and John leaps in her womb and she starts to affirm Mary for who she is as the mother of our Savior, right?
Right.
And so that in and of itself is a form of midwifing, because she spoke to a very unsure Mary, who is just discovering that she had this gift and this purpose, and she spoke over her and she spoke into her. And I noticed that that is how God was calling me to function in each of my roles. So that's how I arrived at that.
I love it. So was it something that was instant that you knew, or did it just take time of you being in prayer, studying, and just trying to really seek God on your purpose?
It just sort of unfolded over time. And it took me moving forward and looking back at how I had been functioning to say, I've been doing this a long time.
Wow.
Like when I look at all the conversations, when I look at the dynamics in my friendships, in my relationships, and then it became crystal clear around the time that people started coming to me when they were accepting their calls to ministry. So it got to the point where when a relationship developed, I would say, this person is called to ordain ministry. I know it. I know it.
Wow.
And I wouldn't tell them, but I knew. And so when they got there, I would say, I knew it. I knew it. As soon as we got into relationship, I knew that's why you were being sent. I knew it. Yeah. So it just sort of unfolded over time.
Wow. So how do you even start to build relationships? I know for some people it's like coming out of their comfort zone. Like, how do you meet people where they are in order to really like walk alongside them and not even though you may see something in them, but not forcing it or trying to get them to go in the way. Like, how do you navigate all of that?
You sort of have to show up where they are. So in whatever space they are in, that they allow you in. So when we were gathering, then that might be just speaking after worship and having a little conversation and inquiring about that person. When you show interest in other people, then they are interested in talking to you about what their experience is. Because if you see something in them, chances are they are looking for, they're trying to discern what it is that's within them that God is trying to do. You know, so these things don't happen in a vacuum. If God is talking to you, God is talking to that person also. And it could start off as something so simple, like there is one young woman in my congregation, and she said, Reverend Natasha, you just keep popping up. Because we would just run into each other. We ran into each other at our general conference. We're in Philly. There are thousands of AMEs descending upon Philly. I'm walking into the I think that was a flea market or wherever it was, where all the food was. And we literally almost walked into each other. And she said, you just keep popping up. But she was struggling and wrestling with a call to ordain ministry. And every time she saw me, it was convicting to her. Yes. So you just have to kind of be present. And because people know when you are generous with your spirit, people know when you are open and when you are willing to talk and engage them in conversation and inquire about their lives. If you remain open and curious about people in that way, God creates situations and the setting and the right circumstances for you to have those conversations and for those conversations to develop.
Wow. Listen, I know firsthand your anointing and your awesome work. Again, you've done so well just walking alongside not only me, but my class in some tough moments. And you've been just so encouraging and just so inspiring. You're like, y'all can do it. It's going to be okay. And we're like little babies, like, I don't know.
Because listen, I've been there. I was there. So I know. And that is what allows me to be able to do that. And listen, the other thing is that you have to be authentic, because if there was somebody in the group that I thought to myself, this might be a challenge for them, or I don't think they're in the right space. Now, I don't think I would say, well, I don't think you need to be here, but yeah. I would really guide that person towards some deep soul searching about their purpose and the purpose that this program is supposed to serve in their lives, in the hopes that they would come to some realization that maybe they need to make a different decision.
So you spend so much time pouring into other people and really meeting people where they are. So what refuels you and keeps you in a space that is balanced, and like what encourages you?
That's a good question. Being in relationship, and I don't even want to say like my social circle, but more having these various individual relationships where I can wrestle with ideas and wrestle with my thoughts and even my doubts and where I am. And I mean, listen, I have a sort of me in my life. My senior pastor is not quite as he's not as touchy-feely as I am, okay? He is more straight to the point, but he sort of serves that same role. He walks in that same role. And I like to jokingly call him my tormentor. I borrowed that language from a ministry friend, but I think of him as my tormentor because we are close in age, but he's been doing this so long that he's walked in spaces that I have not walked in yet. But because we are close in age, it's not that parental kind of interaction. So I can be real. I can say, look, I don't like this, and not feel any way about saying that. And so being able to have that space for myself allows me to provide that space for other people, my girlfriends in my life, where I wrestle with the ideas and all of that kind of stuff. That gives me more energy, and that patches me back up and pushes me back out in the world to be able to go back and get beat up again before I come back and need to refuel again. And so those relationships are super important, which is why even in our group setting, I've always encouraged you all to make those connections, because that's what's going to keep you going, you know, when you start to feel like you can't continue.
Right. And I think balance and just having that space that you have is important, not only for pastors, but just people in general who are just doing ministry. That's it. Because ministry is such an awesome experience, but it also can be exhausting and time consuming. And so finding rest, finding peace and stillness and different ways to just reconnect to God and just re-energize, and so that you can be poured back into is so important, so that you're prepared to go back out again. Because otherwise, burnout happens.
Yes. And you're just done. And you have nothing left. Exactly. And fun. I mean, you know, something that we don't talk about in ministry, and a lot of times I think we think we're not supposed to have fun. Like just being able to do nothing or do something fun that is not super religious, right? I mean, we still love Jesus wherever we go, but it does not always have to have an order of worship connected to it. So I think that's important to keep balance and to keep us alive also.
So you mentioned how you've been able to connect to people trying to figure out their calling or really wrestling with that, especially in the local church. Being that we are an online community, for someone who wants to serve in the midwife role, what are like your top 3 tips or ways that they would be able to do that effectively?
So I would say the number one thing is to, in all of your interactions, in all of your posting, in all of your sharing online, be as transparent as you can be, but be your authentic self. I mean, that makes a world of difference. I am Natasha Jameson Gadson in all spaces, and you know that. On the days when I'm not feeling it, I say I'm not feeling it. On the days when I'm pumped and ready to go, you all see that. I think that if you are trying to position yourself to be a midwife so that other people will know that they can come to you, you have to just be authentic, your authentic self at all times, because people want to connect with what's real. People do not want to connect with your representative who is holy, saved, and sanctified 24 hours a day. Okay. They want to know that some days you are not acting like Jesus. And Jesus told you you're not acting like Jesus.
Right.
That's real, right? They don't want this buttoned up version of you because they can't bear their souls in front of you in that way. So that's number one. Number two is, I think, to be intentional about reaching out. So if this is an online community and this is the primary way of engaging, this is the primary way that people will meet. If you see something or see someone, or the Spirit moves on you, on your heart, to reach out to someone, don't be afraid to send a message and just say, hey, listen, the Lord put it on my heart to reach out to you. And you have to be vulnerable to do that. I mean, because sometimes people are like, I don't know why. I have no idea why Cynthia is sending me a message. I don't know her. We've never met.
Yes.
But you have to be open and be Spirit-led in doing that. And then the third thing, I think, is that as you are organizing or as you're putting your hands to the work of ministry, especially online ministry, where you have places that you can delegate, where you have places where you can pull other people in, go ahead and invite people in to help, because that creates spaces for that kind of midwifing relationship. My first mentor, she became, and she's a good girlfriend of mine, my very first mentor, she became my mentor because she was leading the Rites of Passage program, and she invited me to come help her with some of the administrative duties. Had no idea that my gift was in administration, but she saw something and she said, I need you to come help me. She said, my car has broken down. Can you drive me this place and this place? And I learned so much. Turns out she knew I was called to ministry before I knew I was called to ministry, and so in your environment, God is creating spaces for you to do the same thing right here, online, virtually, without having to be face to face. You and I both know the power of even this relationship on a Zoom platform, right? And so the same can happen with all of the people who will be impacted by this ministry, just being transparent, being open, being intentional about reaching out, and then asking those people to come alongside and help with the work.
I love it. Thank you so much. So this is the last question.
Okay.
What is next for Dr. Natasha Gadson?
Lord have mercy. I have no idea. That is like the great mystery of life. That is the great mystery of life. I don't know. But what I do know is that I continually strive to just be prepared for whatever is next. Because when I think about it, when I graduated in 2016, my now senior pastor and I were ministry friends. So he would check in with me every so often. I would call him up, that kind of thing. Neither one of us had any idea that God was calling me to serve with him. Wow. Neither one of us. We looked at each other and said, my husband suggested it. And we said, it will never work. It will never work, because he is a true Southern gentleman and I am New York to the core. Okay. So I said, this will not work, because he is not going to like the way I say anything. But here I am, serving in this executive minister's role, and neither one of us could have seen that. So I say it like this: you don't know what's coming next. And God, most of the time, can't show you because you will say, no, I don't want to do that. No, thank you.
Right.
But what you can do, because all that you're doing now, none of it you would have agreed to.
At all.
None of it. You would have said, no, God, you got to come back with a different plan.
This is too hard. This takes too much time. I have to put forth too much energy. It's going to require vulnerability, which I'm not. Yeah, I would have said.
Exactly. No to all of it, right?
I tried to tell God no a couple of times and it didn't work out for me.
Exactly. And so that's why he doesn't tell us until we're right at the door. At the door, God says, okay, you're doing this. And so the best thing that we can do is to be prepared. And so I just try to make sure I continually prepare myself every day and I fall short every single day. So let me say this. Hello, people. I fall short. I'm Dr. Fall Short every day, but I try it again the next day. Okay. That's all you can do is just be prepared and be hopeful and know that God has a better plan for you than you could ever plan for yourself.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out to just share your story and the awesome work that you are doing. And I pray that God continue to do awesome work through you, and that we continue to be blessed, not only me and my group, but other people by your ministry and by your calling. I'm truly thankful for you and all that God is doing in your life. So,
Thank you so much.
Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Gadson. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, everyone, for our first Lunch Talk series. Join us next week where we will be live at La Casuela, and we will talk with the owner, Carlos, Mr. Carlos. And we will be at his restaurant eating some good food, and so we are excited to hear about his story. Same time, same place, Wednesday at 11:30. Thank you so much. Bye.